In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you exactly how you can scale your online coaching, consulting, or agency business by building a really powerful outreach system, which is 100% automated. You heard me right. My name is Lloyd Yip, and in the last couple of years, I've helped over 130 plus clients build out this exact system so that they can scale to over 50 or even 100K per month for their online business. So let's dive into the screen share right now so that you can see exactly what this system looks like. All right, so the first thing that you want to understand is that the system that you're going to be building needs to be customized given your audience. Where does your audience spend their time? Well, if you're going after moms, for instance, and you have a weight loss product, perhaps Instagram might be the best channel to spend time on. Whereas if you're going after B2B professionals, let's say marketing managers at large companies, then obviously LinkedIn might be the best channel for you to use. For me, since I go after pretty much anyone who runs an online business that provides a service of some kind, it's pretty versatile. I can go after Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter or Instagram. There's definitely a lot more options for me. That being said, for you, you don't need to necessarily have a lot of channels firing for you to have a really powerful outreach engine. In fact, I know many people who've been able to scale to over 7 figures per year just utilizing one individual channel. They just understand how to really maximize the usage out of that channel, automate it, and make sure that it drives massive results. So today's video, I'll share with you both how you could do this from a multi-channel perspective, but also if you only have one channel that you can fire out of, how you can really make sure how that single channel can generate you dozens of calls every single week, as well as hundreds of thousands of dollars of revenue generated per month. So before you do any outreach whatsoever, you're gonna have to first build the list that you're gonna be doing the outreach out of. And of course, this is gonna depend on which channel you ultimately use to connect with your audience. If you're using LinkedIn, for example, you probably would be relying on Sales Navigator in order to generate your lead lists. If you're going after people on Facebook, for example, you might be spending time inside people's Facebook groups that match your particular buyer criteria, and you might just go after those people instead. So every single one of these channels are gonna have individual ways. And if you want a bit more depth about how you can actually scrape these leads or find more qualified prospects to go after, I have this entire playlist right here that goes in extreme depth for every one of the possible channels that I'm going to be discussing today on how you can find them and how you can actually reach out to those prospects. So check it out. Now, back to the actual system at hand. Once you have the appropriate leads that you want to go after, then the next step is that you're going to be going after them every single day, sending out a minimum number of outreaches per account. So let's say you have a single Facebook account. Well, you ideally want to maximize your potential by going after 30 to 40 different prospects every single day. LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, it's all the same. The only exception I would say is email, where you can definitely go over 30 emails a day if you want. That being said, I don't think you're going to be able to generate any meaningful results unless you're able to go over at least 30 outreaches every single day, because when all is said and done, it's still a numbers game. Now, this is where a lot of people just stop. They send out an X number of messages every single day and they think, oh, that is sufficient for them to get the results that they're looking for, but that could not be further from the truth. There's a couple elements that you're going to want to execute on in order to make sure that you're actually generating massive results. And the first thing that I want to discuss is that your profile must be optimized on whichever social media platform you're utilizing for your outreach. For example, if you're using Facebook, you have to have a Facebook profile where the entire profile almost looks like it's a landing page. It talks about exactly what you do. It has content which enables you to show your audience that, hey, I'm an expert in this. I specialize in this. This is how I can ultimately provide value for my customers. And if you scroll down here, not only will you be able to see testimonials from my clients who've been able to generate massive results, but you'll also be able to see certain content, which is more about just me talking about my life. So I'm not just this stiff robot. And it's important that whichever channel you choose to use social media wise, if you're going to be doing outreach, whoever you're actually going after will go to your personal profile, they will click in, and if it doesn't look professional, if they can't get a sense of what it is that you can provide value on from seeing your content, then it doesn't matter how good your outreach content or copy is, it's still gonna fall on deaf ears. So you have to make sure that you're optimizing your profile before you even send out a single message. Now, the next thing that I would highly advise in order for you to maximize your success when it comes to outreach is that the message itself that you're sending can't be overly salesy. In fact, I would say, especially with social media outreach, if you immediately try to pitch your offer, then it's going to fall on deaf ears. People will generally not want to respond positively because any stranger online that messages you, you're going to obviously react with a lot of skepticism. Rather than going immediately out of the gate with a very salesy, pitchy message, instead you should start conversation. You should try to ask questions and build rapport. And ideally, you want to figure out if the prospect has goals or pains that align with what it is that you do. And depending on their answers, maybe you'll actually pitch them if you can actually add value. So here's an example of a conversation that I had with a potential prospect. And you can even see here that my first message has absolutely nothing to do with trying to sell them. I'm just trying to get her to connect with me on LinkedIn. Now, I do follow up a little bit because obviously not everyone's going to respond. So persistence is important too. And as soon as I get into a bit of a dialogue with her, I have my foot in the door. But you can see here, I'm not immediately trying to actually pitch anything. I'm going to start asking questions about, hey, who do you sell to? And what are the marketing channels that you have? I'm really trying to figure out where are her pain points. I'm trying to ask, hey, are you having any issues with lead generation? Are you fully utilizing all the tools at your disposal, right? So she even says here that she hasn't done any marketing on LinkedIn and she thought that there is no automation allowed. So I'm going to start teaching her. I'm going to start trying to identify areas in which she has missing opportunities. And then if possible, I'll even just send her content which can share more value so that she trusts me more, right? So if I can do all of this within the conversation with her, then eventually she's going to be pretty interested and even start asking, hey, what do you charge? Can I jump on a call with you? This is how you do proper messenger sales. And to go back to this framework that I was mentioning before, there is such a massive gap between what people are doing right now compared to what they should be doing. What they should be doing is actually having non-pitchy messages. What they should be doing is adding value in their actual DMs. If they can provide links to their YouTube channel, if they can send additional content that gets someone to be more indoctrinated, to get them to know, like, and trust you more before they actually get pitched, then you're gonna have a lot more success. The problem is most people, they actually just pitch right away. And that is not going to work in today's day and age where everyone is very, very skeptical. If you're curious to hear a little bit more about how you can actually construct a really powerful DMing strategy that converts at a high rate, check out this video right here where I go into more depth. Now, I've shown you overall the right strategy to utilize, right? You send out messages to the right prospects. You do it every single day. Sometimes they'll book a call immediately, but many times they won't. So you need to provide them more content before they're willing to jump on a call with you. That's all great. But we talked about how you can scale this and automate this, right? So here is essentially how you can do exactly that. If you want to scale this, the first limitation that you have to break is the fact that all of these social media platforms only allow you to send out so many messages every single day. For example, on LinkedIn, you're not really allowed to send out more than 20 or 30 messages every single day per account. You can use some softwares that can break those limits so that you can send out 40, 50, even 100. But even if you do that, there's still limitations, right? Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, it's all the same. You're still going to be limited in terms of numbers of messages that you can send out every single profile. So if you are going multi-channel, this is a fairly easy fix because having all these channels means that you can send out 30 to 40 messages on all of them, right? 30 to 40 on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Facebook. And then before you know it, you already have 150 to 200 messages going out every single day, which is amazing. You're able to increase your volume that way. Now, if you're only able to actually use a single channel, maybe all of your audience is primarily found on LinkedIn, then the better approach is to just have multiple LinkedIn profiles. Now, I'm not recommending you just create a bunch of random LinkedIn profiles that all have your name on it, because a lot of the times when you create a brand new profile on LinkedIn, it's going to prevent you from sending out a lot of messages. As well, you're more likely to get banned if LinkedIn feels as though you have multiple LinkedIn accounts attached to the same person. Instead, it's better to just buy aged and old LinkedIn accounts online, which are real accounts that people have used in the past, but for whatever reason, they no longer use those accounts. They've put them up for sale. And getting access to these accounts, you're able to actually now have a LinkedIn account with 5 years of history, and you can send out your messages that way. And you can actually do this across every single social media channel. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, all of these have websites in which you can just find aged accounts to buy. Another method that you can use to just widen the amount of volume that you can send out is, of course, you can just have virtual assistants and they already have LinkedIn accounts for real or Facebook accounts for real. And since you're also hiring them, you can more or less take over their social media accounts and use their accounts for your outreach as well. So there's many different ways that you can do this. Now, a question that you might be having in your mind is, all right, if I'm sending out all these messages, you already said, Lloyd, that the only way that you can convert people into actual clients or even booked calls is if you end up having a bit of a back and forth DM with them, right? And here's another example, right? I'm speaking with Chanel. She actually found me from YouTube and then connected with me on LinkedIn, but we actually have a back and forth conversation where I find out some of her problems, some of her goals, and eventually we do book a meeting with her right here. But it took an entire dialogue. And you can imagine if you're sending out 150 to 200 messages a day, whether it be on a single channel or on multiple channels, the amount of conversations that are going to happen every single day, the amount of time that you need to spend in the DMs yourself in order to schedule these calls, it's not insignificant. So the way that you really automate this is not just utilizing software to send out your outreach. That's totally possible, right? But it's more so utilizing setters to manage all these conversations. Because having an appointment setter manage all these conversations, where instead of you being the one who's inside the DMs talking to all of them, instead of having an appointment setter whose full-time job is literally just to manage these conversations, field the questions, send over the calendar links, it's gonna make everything significantly more automated. And the setters allow you to not just manage the conversations, setters can even start the conversations to begin with, right? Unlike LinkedIn, which you can just use automation tools to send out the initial outreach, Instagram and Facebook is not quite as easy to send out the automated outreach, right? There's no individual software that does an amazing job when it comes to the initial message. So having a virtual assistant or an appointment setter to even send out the initial messages so that you can cover the 150 to 200 a day is much more efficient than you doing it by hand. Now, if you're pretty curious about how to automate with software as much as you can, I do have this entire playlist here that goes deeper into the automation softwares that I like to use in order to send out some of these messages on autopilot in order to minimize and reduce your workflow. But I think setters are one of the best ways that you can ultimately take these functions and make them more autopilot. Now, what I've spoken about today in this video is primarily an organic outreach system. And it works really, really great, but truthfully, it's a little bit slow. And if you do want to accelerate your speed to results, what you can actually do is start hybridizing this approach. What you can actually do is start running paid traffic as well. So in this video right here, I'm going to actually be sharing a bit more about how you can deploy paid traffic into your process so that you can ultimately generate even more sales calls and do it even more on autopilot. By the way, guys, if this was a helpful video, please like and subscribe. It would really mean a lot to me. And also, I work with a lot of clients individually in order to help them build out their systems and generate more sales calls. So if you think that would be helpful to you, just book a call in my description box below. There is a link there for you to find. And if you don't prefer to do that, then hey, there's a couple recommended videos right here that you can check out, which will continue helping you within your entrepreneurship journey. So with that being said, cheers.